This is the now retired Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 200cc team Rated R, and this is a full list of every team they ever played in a tournament. Rated R was active for over 3 years, and they played almost 100 official tournament matches across those years. Of the 20 teams those matches were played against, less than a third ever managed to beat them. This team was good. Really good, even. But just how good were they? Regular season flukes happen, especially with the nature of this game at 200cc, so what about putting up a fight when it matters? Here's every team that took a game from Rated R in the 200 League playoffs. Yeah, not many. And that's probably why their tournament record looks like this. Oh, and that single loss? It came from regular season record. There were no playoffs that season. A reminder that 100% of the revenue this channel makes for the rest of the year will go directly towards me attending Catalyst 2024. If you'd like to support me or the scene, click the join button down below, or simply like and subscribe if you don't have the money. Thank you. So, as those that were kind of around for it happening know, Rated R actually came to be from, I guess, the remains of AX as that team fizzled out, so what were your kind of expectations heading into like a new season with a new team? What do you think you guys were going to be capable of?
Obviously, it would have been very hard to match their skill compared to the other teams, since they were basically undefeated at the time that the team was active. So Rated R was actually originally made as not a super team, but a friend group between certain people like me, Cynic, Amber, Rylan, and Eric. But I'd like to point out that Rylan and Amber were actually the main people that decided to start, or in this case, revive Rated R, since it was actually an old team back in the old Mario Kart 8. Obviously, we weren't expecting to be as strong as Texas, but after creating the roster for the first Tournament League season, I knew that we still had a good enough roster to be able to win.
And you did win a lot. You have been used to winning for quite some time, you know, transitioning from AX to R, but did winning as a leader, did that feel any different than just winning as just, you know, part of the AX system? Like, calling the shots and stuff like that, did that change your mentality on things?
It really did change my mentality, and it does feel like very much different winning as a leader than winning as a member of the AX system, because like I was like literally one of the people making all the decisions on like the lineups to use depending on each team and their playstyle, as well as making split-second decisions on what to do during this situation that we was in as a team during the race, or even in the first 5 seconds of the race. And it feels more rewarding on the person making all the choices.
As it currently stands, Darky is undoubtedly the greatest 200cc player of all time. Multi-world record holder back in the day, rank 1 in Lounge for over 90% of the first 3 seasons, the first Grandmaster ever, and his worst placement in a 6v6 tournament is second, once. But in my eyes, none of those things are his greatest accomplishment. See, in 200cc team tournaments, chemistry reigns supreme. It has been tried time and time again to make super teams with every single good free agent in that moment, but they almost always fell flat because they didn't mesh together. In the history of 200 Lounge, a total of 30 players have achieved the rank of Master. Nearly half of them played for Rated R. The fact that Darky was able to get all those players to put their egos aside and play their roles is, in my eyes, by far the most impressive part of this dynasty. But as any good leader knows, nobody can stay on top of any competitive scene without adaptation. Every team that wanted to take a stab at Rated R would always be trying something new. Whether it's an uncommon track, a new lineup, team leaders tried anything they could think of to do the impossible. But Rated R was so far ahead that it took the second best team in the world, Encore, adding the best player in the world, Ewan, to even force Game 3s against them. This is why, in their 5-200 League regular seasons, they went 10-0 twice, and 9-0-1 twice. This is why they're 8-0 when facing elimination. Rated R is only Rated R because Darky knew better to keep his team on their toes at all times. Metagames change a lot over the years in any game, but especially Mario Kart, and not even with just, you know, the balance patch and vehicles and whatnot. Like, everyone had to deal with that, but for you guys, I'm talking, like, changing up your track picks as time went, changing up your roster and adding new members as time went. What did those feel like, and how hard was it to keep yourself afloat?
You know, we had like a roster with, you know, a couple players from around the world. We have like, most notably, we had 3 Japanese players that played for us actively, which is Kai, Eiji, and Toshiki, 3 very strong Tier C players. And like over the years, like right now they just don't play anymore. And like a lot of people have lost interest, the Dynasty scene in our team. For adjustments, track picks, obviously. We just picked our tracks based on like our strong tracks early on. And then like I started using the strategy of every time we get a good race, we get to like pick another team's strongest track. For instance, let's say Encore, their strongest tracks are like Ice, Rainbow Road 7, Rainbow Road 8. So I like to like pick Ice in the top spots just so they can't use it later on. It shrinks the limited what tracks I can pick early, like later on in the war.
The entire 200cc community as a whole, you had a huge influence on really everyone. You made Encore better, you made Next End better, you made Nanofan better, you made all these teams catch up to you over the course of your reign, you know, adapting your strategies like that. How did that feel?
It just feels nice to know like, oh, we're like the team that everyone's looking up towards. Because obviously, oh, we're the best team. So like everyone is trying to like implement our style of gameplay into their style of gameplay, and obviously shows over the improvements of the years. And obviously from other top teams, like I actually learned from Nick. I learned like the leading styles and like how to implement into my leading style. So I learned from them, and the other teams learned from us, which you can clearly see because every team has improved, and it shows like the improvement in like every team is insane. And I hope that more teams come to the Dynasty scene and learn from the top teams, and they can improve, and you know we can make this like a big scene in the future.
Yeah, I think that's the hope of everyone that plays 200 right now because it's still a small community. As I alluded to earlier in the interview, Rated R's dominance was not unprecedented. Worldfront Star achieved a similar level of dominance in the much more competitive top ranks of 150cc, and before Rated R, 200cc had Anna Texas, who many agree was even more dominant at their peak. But the most intriguing thing about Rated R to me is that their reign of terror was, by raw length, the longest of the three by far. And it wasn't tainted by an up-and-comer. They ended on their own terms, and they ended right where they started, on top.
So my favorite match, in my opinion, was the latest Overdrive Finals versus Encore, which went to a bracket reset, as well as like a 2-point game after 11 races in both where the matches played. So the fact that the war was like that close the entire way just had us clinched and locked in basically the entire way. I think the biggest difference in the entire series was like 30 points. The average difference was like half of a perfect race, which was like extremely close. Make this one like one of the most entertaining matches to like watch for like a casual or competitive viewer, despite it not being as popular as 150cc.
As a member of Encore, most probably think that I'm not very happy with the guy I'm speaking to for costing us, 5-6 now 200cc titles? But really it's the opposite. Like, we couldn't have asked for better rivals, so thank you for your time today, and just thank you for being a rival.